Many thanks for staying with us on Daybreak. The topic of jobs is one that raises quite a lot of emotions. We've been talking about this even during the break. Hopefully some of those discussions will come to light right now. Now, Edith Okoki, who's the Acting Director General, National Employment Authority, wants to shed a bit more light on how one can engage with the platforms that they have. Many of you have had questions about how do people get jobs through that authority. Maybe you can give you a chance now. If there's a young person watching, there's one there who said she, there was a lady, I believe,
for a job for almost 2 years.
2 years. How can that person engage with your platform? When do they expect to hear back from you, whether positive or negative feedback? And then what are your promises to people who are looking for jobs over the next 1-2 years?
Okay. What we are doing as an authority is to try and source these jobs from employers, just like the other private recruitment agencies are doing. But our catch is that we all do this for free. We have now gone, initially this whole exercise used to be done manually, but we've now gone online. You can visit ner.go.ke and you'll be able to register. Once you sign in, you'll be able to register and your data will be captured, and the employer will also sign in and register, and they'll be able to see your CV. Yeah, and the matching will be done by the employment officer for data collection. But the employer will be able to see all the people who are registered in our platform. Okay. Yes.
Do you have any targets in terms of how many connections you hope to make in the next 6 months? Is it possible to estimate?
Not really, but what on an average, we are able to place about 2,000 to 3,000 in a year.
Okay.
Yes, using our platform.
All right. Yes. So ner.go.ke. Sam, you also mentioned there are several platforms. In fact, you're saying the government should not really do this as well. So. Let's just share it out there.
I don't think they can build better platforms than the private sector.
Okay.
I think we can build better platforms because we invested in. I feel that the whole idea of saying it's free doesn't even really, it's not a value add. Because free means no motivation. Free means, you know, there's even the staff members working behind this. How much are they working?
She disagrees to the young man who doesn't have 10 shillings or 20 shillings free.
I agree. I see that.
Might make a difference.
I see that, but I also see models that are functional.
Okay, I'll give you a chance.
The models that are functional. It's easier for you to go to an employer and say, you know what, we're going to bring people to you, pay us X amount of money. You can also negotiate, say his first salary, 20% comes back to us so that we can actually build this better. Free does not necessarily mean good. Okay. Andela is pretty much paying people to get them trained, to get them placed in jobs. There's other models that we can explore. But also the question I have, big question here is, are we creating or are we replacing? Are we creating new opportunities, fresh new opportunities, or are we replacing somebody? There's a difference. Creating a new job means it did not exist before. It's a new job. Because we have new graduates, which means new jobs. Because it's like we have lost 800,000 people who have died. Now there is new positions people can fit in. So we have to create new jobs, not replace. When we replace one person and put in another. Where did this one person go to? Were they fired? What happened to them? So Kuhustle, in a sense, Kuhustle.com, the freelance platform, creates, because it looks for opportunities that did not exist before and says, is there somebody out there who's willing to, who can be able to do this new thing? Okay? And so there's a difference. So let's not say create new jobs yet, we are not creating, we're just replacing people.
Okay. So we're also trying to make sure that our viewers who are looking for jobs know how to get onto that. So you're saying the platform is Kuhustle,
It's Kuhustle.com.
And so all you need to do is go there,
we're adding all categories, yes. There's no CVs, there are all categories being added. We even have people looking for a border driver now. Before it was software development and logo designs. We have over 43,000 young people sitting there, which again comes to say, government, here we have the data. We know which positions are out there. We know what skills these young people have.
Okay.
So all you need to do is just log in.
Before I come to you, I had promised her a 1 minute to respond. Go ahead.
What I was saying is that, you know, government works for all. And if you look at most of these who come to register in our offices, honestly, most of them do not even have that kind of money to go to private recruitment agencies. That is one. And we are also developing a mobile app, which should be up and running anytime, whereby if you download that app of National Employment Authority, if there's a vacancy, an employer has also registered with us. If you are passing by, somebody's passing by your studios around here, then they will be able to get an alert that there's a job.
It's got geo-positioning of some sort.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is also coming, because we have realized that the youth actually use the mobile quite frequently, more than actually even going to visit our offices. However, we still also have our offices existing in 30, we have 30 recruitment employment offices within the country, spread out in areas where we have a lot of concentrations of industry, for example, where we have employment activities going on.
Okay.
Yes.
Maliba, before I come to you, one other thing that Sam raised.
Of our advantage, in that we are spread all over
so
the country.
Nakuru, Kisumu, Mombasa.
We have that.
The key.
41,600 jobs. Are those new jobs or replacements, like Sam was raising?
Those were placements, I think.
You know, let me tell you something. If you do not have data and facts, at times it's very difficult to trace this, because what I've mentioned before is that employers will come and look for the jobs. They'll come and register the jobs. So
you don't have
for
the
somebody
data to show whether these are new jobs or the replacement.
And now, with the platform that we have, we'll be able to collect all this data. And we'll be able now to do analysis using the employment creation analysis that I've talked about, to be able to know the kind of jobs that are being created in any sector in government.
Thank you. I'd like us probably to look at this thing probably seriously. What is the need of the hour? Is it access to available opportunities, or there are simply no jobs? The question that young people are asking are, where are the jobs? It's not a matter of access. Young people are online, they can always get those jobs, but they get around and they run for so long before they will land a job elsewhere. The government itself is not even hiring. It's keeping guys because they are unable to pay for retirement. So they're even mulling, actually adding the age.
The age of retirement.
So
is correct.
The question and the problem we have is, are there jobs? No, they are not jobs. There are no sufficient jobs. Because today you have got a lot of young people. And like I mentioned earlier, today we have got 600,000 young people, or other people, in universities. Only 160,000 in technical institutions. Yet, that is an inverted pyramid. It should be the other way around. The other people we are trying to compete with, the people who are creating jobs, it's in the technical world. But we actually are producing a lot of more people from universities, people with higher expectations, people who want to look at the world, who look at the world differently. So when they come out here, they cannot even fit into the job market as it is. We are not creating enough jobs. It's not the business of government to get into trying to help guys. Some and the other guys will do that much better. Young people do not have essentially a problem on accessing jobs. They have got a problem in finding real jobs and decent jobs, according to, well, if we talk about SDG number 8. So literally, honestly, I will still by the point out 7 public agencies that have got similar functions like hers. I say that because I did an analysis and did a legal brief of that act when it was being worked on. And you know, in this country, when we come up with acts to come up with to justify why we are in parliament or something, we just, you know, those acts are actually written in very funny ways. Enhance, facilitate, very ambiguous ways that the functions enhance, facilitate, enable, and such. So even when she talks about management of taking jobs from this place to other countries elsewhere, like I tell you, the Youth Fund order, the executive order that formed the Youth Fund, has got that. Everybody knows Youth Fund for only one thing, credit. Yet they have got about 5 functions. One of them is commercial infrastructure. They don't do that, because all of us think that if we throw money at problems, we solve them. That is one of those things we actually get wrong. In this country, and Kenya does that a lot, especially the government, that if there's a problem, you throw money at the problem. And you think you solve a problem by throwing money there. We get it wrong. So essentially, I still feel we are not getting it right. Because including what her organization is doing at the moment is just a bureaucracy, an added red tape, because she's talked about vetting over the agencies, listing them. Normally, when a vetting comes up, we are lengthening the bureaucratic tape. So we want to start vetting. Somebody else was doing that. No, somebody was doing that already. There was an agency that was already doing that. So we now have got a way where we create a few jobs for a few of our people. People sit on boards and they earn per diems and allowances, and there's something around there. I still feel that government should be concerning itself.
Fair to the 41,600 that she's mentioned have gotten jobs through?
Well, that is placement. Any other person would still have gone. That wasn't a problem. As in, can they sort the real problem? Does she sit at the cabinet to determine how the other ministries, for example, should be enhancing? Government should be in the business of enhancing, so that, or rather enabling, creating an environment where the private sector then can create wealth for everybody. And when I talk about wealth here, there are jobs, there is doing business and stuff. So it's not necessarily them doing stuff that anyone else can do. Government should do what matters. And government has actually failed at the core function, at the enabling. We are investing money, and big money, in sectors that do not trickle down. We have been spending huge money. You hear 21 billion shillings Aror, Kamwerer, SGR, and all the others, hundreds of billions. Yet that money has no way of actually coming back here. So we are not financing the real points that should actually be sprucing up the economy so that people can get jobs.
Fair enough. Abraham, before we come to you, go ahead. Your thoughts?
I think, for me, I want to go the angle of access to credit. And I think since we got the red cap, you've seen what has happened to SMEs. They have been starved of credit. And for any business to scale up, you need some element of credit. Now, I think we need to correlate the starvation of credit to the downward trend in employment. Why am I saying that? Because what companies have done, when they want to scale up, and there are no internal resources, the access to credit is limited. And by SMEs, I'm talking about the lower end of it. The top end ones have no problem getting credit. And also, take that further. Take somebody in a sector who wants to develop an app and doesn't have the money. What model can we create for them to get funding? And funding, as I say again, has to come with technical support. Because if you give me money, I don't know how to use it, then I'm worse off than how I started. So to me, there's a correlation between access to credit, structured credit, and growth. And I'm very happy that I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, a lady banker said that they're going to move away from government paper and take their money back to SMEs. So that said, I think I agree with him. Let's empower. Let's empower people. But again, for people to be employed, the employer has to be empowered.
Madam Okoki, there's been a lot of backlash here from Arnold, but from where you stand as the acting Director General of National Employment Authority, how do you think this will be valuable to the youth? Because there's the issue of duplication of roles, in which you've mentioned that there's no duplication of roles, but how do you think this will be of value to the youth, the National Employment Authority? What is the strategy going forward to ensure that the youth get more jobs? 41,600 is not a very good number in 3 years. You would admit that, right?
Yes. One, we have actually, how they want to put it is that, you cannot stop people even going outside this country. And majority of the people who go outside this country are the youth. And what the Youth Fund was doing, why I want to say that there's really no duplication of roles, was that to go outside this country, you needed finances. And so the Youth Fund stepped in to give credit to these youths to be able to get their tickets and their passage outside. But the jobs are actually sourced by the private recruitment agencies who are registered by the authority, who source for these jobs outside the country. And now we also have gone further to sign bilateral agreements with the countries where majority of our youth are going to work. And we are urging them to only go to those countries where we've signed bilateral agreements, because then we look at the conditions of work and we also discuss the kind of pay that they'll be able to get. And we've so far signed 3 bilateral labor agreements with Saudi, Qatar, and UAE. And towards that end, I'm sure the number of jobs that we are talking about will now increase, because like with the Saudi government, we already have what we call a Musanet system. And this system will be able, when you register with this system, those are the recruitment agencies, when they register with this system, we will be able to track the moment a Kenyan register is put online on that system to the employer that they'll be working with on the other side. So those are areas where we are encouraging. And a lot of money comes in terms of remittances. And countries like the Philippines actually have grown through remittances. So it is one area that we cannot actually ignore. Within the country, as I had mentioned before, we are working with different sectors. And so that we can identify those areas where we can revamp and create those opportunities.
Do you have targets?
Yes, we have.
By the end of the year, how many jobs shall have created?
We have targets,
how many people shall have connected?
like for this year, our target, we should have been able to place at least 26,000.
How many have you done so far?
Give or take about 16,000.
So 26,000.
Because we are remaining with about...
Wait,
so for the rest of the year, you're looking at 10
people. Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yes, 16,000.
The target for this year?
Yes, the target
is
for this year.
26,000.
26,000.
So far, you've done 16.
About 16.
So for the rest of the year, you're looking to do 10,000.
If you note, from January, when we opened the Saudi market, where we take quite a number of people, we also have the home care, as I'd mentioned.
Yeah.
And through that system alone, we've already trained over 4,000 who are ready to join the labor market. Yeah, you see? So we are working on both areas, where we are ensuring that the people who are going out are trained. We are also trying to ensure that Kenyans, the youth who are leaving the training institutions, are placed in internship. Whether it will be paid, we encourage that they pay them. And also we know that it's one area that there's abuse, and that's why we've also developed guidelines that then is going to guide internship.
All right.
So some of those interventions and many others would be able to catalyze the economy for us to be able to create some employment for the youth.
We need to wrap up the conversation, so we'll take this as a final comment.
I need to actually raise this, that whereas the world is actually preparing for the fourth industrial revolution, it is so sad that our government is actually talking about sending our young men and women into what I honestly want to call is pseudo-slavery. We know the cases that come out of there. You hear a lot of those stories that go out of there. When we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, we are going to a place where we are looking at the Internet of Things, big data,
robotics, AI,
and artificial intelligence.
As language.
Yes, so three of them. All of that have not shown up in her conversation. For example, no one else is talking about the whole world is preparing for the fourth industrial revolution. We are here busy going back in time to send our people into voluntary. This time around, of course, when the Arabs came around here, they were picking our people by force. This time around, we are taking our people voluntarily. I am actually looking at a time, and I have got this dream that one day we are going to have a government that does not frustrate its people, that does not even sell its own children into slavery the way they are doing here. They're taking credit for things that should have happened. The jobs in Saudi have always been there. So from where I sit, Wahiga, can we look at a way where our traders are not frustrated? Can we audit the employment spectrum, the laws and the policies within the employment spectrum? There are so many of them, by the way. From the Employment Act 207, there are a lot of them. We need an audit of them so that they speak to each other. There's a lot that needs to work one onto another. The other thing is that we need to speak directly to the economy. We cannot have an economy that is on its knees and we are talking about job creation. We cannot have a cabinet that has no idea about the jobs they are creating. That when they come out here, last time they talked about 1 million numbers. The whole of Africa last year produced 52 million jobs. It's so interesting that Kenya in its state of economy produced 1 million out of that 52, which is a lie. They pushed out the other day 800,000 jobs. We were told, and that's last month, 800,000 jobs. They said a majority of them came from the informal sector. The informal sector is the grey economy. Yes. The grey economy, by its name, says that the data that comes out of there is unreliable. Yes. KRA will tell you that we are unable to tax those people because they are informal. Yes. But if you can count them, you can tax them, right?
Yes.
So somehow we can count them, but we cannot tax them.
Okay.
Who's playing who? Like I said, if you torture data long enough, it will confess. Okay. And the guys at the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics are actually doing that. I said earlier on, they want to sell GDP. They don't want to talk about HDI. They don't want to talk about SPI. It's time we stopped frustrating business people The people who voted for Uhuru and Raila did not make any mistake. They voted for them so that they helped them. Frustrating them, I don't know what kind of words really we can actually talk about this.
Okay. I'll take this as your last line now.
My last line?
Yes.
My last line is so simple, that government kindly, number one, stop borrowing locally. When he talked about accessing credit, one thing he didn't say is that government is also locally borrowing. So the people in banks, why should I give an SME that is struggling when I can give government and I'm sure I'll get much more returns? If Kibaki was able to pull through, these two young men are brilliant. They have got better people. But though I feel they need to chase a few people away. People like Munya. Of course, they are public figures. I'm only saying that government should fix the economy. Full stop.
We'll leave it at that. Sam?
Final remarks.
I feel strongly that I think government can actually. I like your responses on the things that have been mentioned, but also I like what you've done, because these are, if they're short-term gaps, they need to be filled right now. These jobs are really good to be gotten to these people. People are getting immediate benefits. They have food on the table. There are remittances coming in and all of that. But I feel government should stop trying to get in the business of doing business.
Yeah.
Just focus on the business of creating an environment for private sector to thrive. If the National Employment Authority is in 31 counties, for example, and they just went ahead and told SMEs and employers out there, hey, post your job opportunities on existing platforms that are already being run by us, kuhustle.com, brightermonday.com, then we will be able to give back this data to the government, cleaned up data, tell them this is where the jobs came from, this is where the best jobs were, this is where. Instead of duplicating the extra platform, we cannot get to some of these areas. So suddenly, I feel Brighter Monday is competing with National Employment Authority, because the Brighter Monday is working out there and Kuhustle is working out there telling employers, please post your job on us so we can help place this. And they are working out telling the same employers, please post jobs on us for free. So we can help place people. So you can see that government is competing with private sector instead of supporting private sector. And I feel that so that's part one of the COVID. Number two, let's not talk about replacement as creation, because we will just keep on dancing around the same item again and again. If we are creating new jobs, we are saying we are setting up a manufacturing plant here, we are setting up a new agricultural irrigation scheme over here, and those are new jobs being created. We are saying that when you do SGR and when you do a thicker road, we are training 1,000 extra engineers to maintain it, okay? We are training 1,000 extra engineers to support certain processes with the SGR and things like that. That's what we're talking about. We're not just saying we're bumping up people to putting new people in new positions.
All right. Abraham, very briefly, last comment.
For me, I think we need to take a step back and to look at the economy afresh. And by that I mean that we need to look at our economy and ask ourselves, in which areas do we have comparative advantage over other nations? I think the model of doing everything may not work for us going forward. Let's identify our strong areas, and let's now grow those, enrich them, create value chains around them, and integrate them. So the whole economy speaks to each other, rather than the way we have silos. We talk about agriculture, transport, but we should look at an economy where we cannot speak of one on its own. But the critical, my take-home point is, let's have a fresh look and let's go for what we have a competitive advantage over.
All right, Madam Mukoki, you have the final say.
Thank you. What I can say is that unemployment is actually a global phenomenon. And we cannot say that we are going to work in silos. And that's why, and you cannot stop Kenyans from moving outside this country. What we want is that Kenyans should move in a safe environment. I don't want to say that media has sensationalized the area of what happens, like let's say, for example, in the Middle East. But you need to go in further and look at some of those issues that are discussed in the Middle East. At times it's not very kind, if I may use that word, to rubbish an area where a lot of Kenyans are gaining employment and they are also building their families back home. We have a lot of success stories. Having said that, the authority has come up with good reforms in that sector. The authority will continue to register. And I would encourage him to also register with us. Because in essence, you are actually supposed...
She's teaching now.
Yes, in essence, you are actually supposed to be registered with the authority. So that we are able to capture all these jobs that you are posting, you are helping Kenyans to get. And finally, we are launching the authority on Friday. And you'll be able to see all these areas that I'm talking about, like the home care. And I think that should be a plus for us. We are sending out qualified Kenyans. We are not just sending out girls whom we've picked from the villages as before. One, government is a regulator. You cannot say that you're just anybody will do business anyhow. If we do that, that is where the hue and cry that we had before was happening. So what I'm saying is that let's work together with government. And when we work together, and I think now we have really an open door policy. And there's a lot of intervention that government is doing. And this is what the Employment Authority is trying to harness together so that we have one stop. We already have even a platform. If you're going outside, you can also go onto our website and be able to see all about those countries. That is one thing that if you go to our website,
So
you'll
you
be able
post
to
crucial information that people
all
need
those
to know.
crucial information that you require, you can actually get it on our website.
And if you get stuck in any of these countries, will you intervene?
We do intervene. That is part of the work that we do through even through the foreign affairs. And secondly, before you even get a recruitment agency, like for example for him, he's not on our website. So for a job seeker who is serious and we are telling them, please go on our website and look for those recruitment agencies that are posted on our website. Those are the ones that we have vetted. And it's an interagency vetting committee. So there are various issues that government look for. Yeah.
We'll take that as your final word. Thank you so much. That was Edith Okoki, the Acting Director General, National Employment Authority. A lot of expectations from Kenyans, from your organization.
As you launch on Friday.
As you launch on Friday. We also had Sam Gishuru, the CEO and founder, NILAB, and founder Kuhasol. You've been told to register. If we had more time, we would have given you a right of reply there. Abraham Kamau, the CEO of Miradi Capital, thank you for joining us today. And Arnold Maliba, a public policy analyst. Asante sana for joining us. We'll talk politics another time when we'll call you.
I'm also Secretary General of a party. It's very, very unfair not to mention that.
No, okay. What's the name of the party?
Public policy analyst and Secretary
The
General.
Transformation National Alliance Party. TNAP.
Thank you. Then we just wanted to clarify. Thank you. Do we have any feedback? If we have, now is a good time to put that up on the screen. Thank you, Arnold.
You don't leave a name, but you say corruption is the source of all unemployment in Kenya. For instance, imagine if TAC directly employs 6 teachers in one school without interviews or advertisements. Is that not the most saddening thing to a poor Kenyan teacher?
And this is tied with a phone call that we also received on the education sector and employment there. All right, another tweet. Sir Gioko, job losses tied to productivity rather than papers. Imported stuff that we are buying are jobs that we are exporting. The government is complicit in protecting our manufacturing, is complicit in not protecting against our manufacturing and cotton industries to create demand and supply of local items.
All right. And the last one here, Masaka Wilson, there are many other sectors that haven't been exploited to the next level to create jobs. For example, sports and creative industry. We need to cultivate a mind of producers in youths rather than what we see with more of consumers' generation. All right.
Take that break now?
Yeah, we take a break. Zinzi Kibiki will be back with more in just a bit. And then we'll also get into the news in about half an hour or so. See you then and stay with Daybreak.
Thank you.